Good morning everyone. Panibagong linggo na naman ang ating pagsasaluhan. It's a brand new week full of interviews with our sports personalities, sports officials, whether it's on Zoom and of course in person. But today on today's program, we will have the CEO of Manila Padel Club and founder and chairman of the Philippine Padel Association. We have some interesting talk about one of the rising paddle sports aside from tennis and pickleball. By the way, pickleball just won medals there in the Asian Pickleball Open in Indonesia. Alamin natin sa kanya yung ating mga updates. Sabihin natin, isa sa mga pinakabagong sports kung paddle, yung pag-uusapan, which is paddle. Courtesy of our guest here, Miss Allena. Thank you so much for gracing our program. Magandang umaga po.
Magandang umaga. Thank you for having me today. And I actually just wanted to introduce Manila Padel Club, who brought the popular sport of paddle in the Philippines with the first mover advantage. So paddle is actually the fastest emerging sport in the world, with over 20 million players worldwide now. And the sport is already catching traction in Asia, as Japan, Thailand, Singapore has already opened their doors into the sport. So paddle is a mixture of tennis and squash, and new players to the game of all ages find it as an easy way and less demanding introduction to an exciting and new sport, because paddle is for everybody, all ages, backgrounds, and all levels of fitness. So anybody who can pick up a racket can play paddle. So it's a racket sport that brings together families, friends, and different generations as a whole. So the social enjoyment of paddle is really focused on the community.
And it's a great opportunity to hear the story about the paddle. Sabi na natin, ang paddle is for all ages and for all centers of the society, itong sport na ito. And tamang-tama, this is actually the celebration of the International Women's Month. So we get to talk about women's empowerment also in sports and of course our impact to our society. But first of all, kamusta na po kayo ngayon sa Philippine Padel Association?
So it's really great because we already launched Philippine Padel Association officially last December when we had our first Philippine National Padel Tournament. So we held the Philippine National Padel Tournament at Manila Padel Club. So it was hosted by Manila Padel Club. We had over 60 players at that tournament. And now recently, we just had our second Philippine National Padel Tournament with 3 categories and then over 70 players. So the sport is really growing and we've been attracting a lot of more players day to day.
By the way, can you give us your background of yourself? Have you played paddle before? International competitions, or do you have some extensive experiences in coaching paddle?
The funniest part is actually I didn't have any racket sport background prior to Manila Padel Club. So before Manila Padel Club, I did not play any racket sports. I used to play, I was a taekwondo athlete, but I didn't have any ball sport in my background. So I can really say that paddle is for everybody, because even if you don't have any racket sport background, if you can pick up a racket, you can play paddle. Anybody can progress easily in paddle.
And it's a great thing for our athletes to cross-train with paddle. And of course, some of the players in paddle have extensive backgrounds also in other sports, just like you. You played taekwondo before, a combat sport, but you have been transitioned into a ball sport. So tennis has been one of the most watched and most successful paddle sports, not just in our country, but also in the world, all thanks to Miss Alex Ayala, or US Open Junior.
Yeah.
That Ayala name pops out pag tennis ang pinag-uusapan natin. But there's another sport, just like pickleball, na pinitche natin before. Itong paddle is kind of like gaining huge popularity sa ngayon. Can you tell us, sino ba naka-invento nitong paddle and how did it start?
So paddle started in Mexico. It was invented by Enrique and it was brought to Spain by his friend. So Enrique is a Mexican guy who plays paddle and tennis, and the paddle was invented by a Mexican guy. So we can remove the assumptions that it's a Spanish sport or Argentinian sport. It's really big in these countries, but it was really invented in Mexico.
Okay, so that sport is actually invented in Mexico, but of course, it went blossom and it has been expanded to other countries as well. And ano yung significant difference ng paddle compared to the other sports? Most especially, paddle is a similarities has a similarities to other racket sports such as tennis, badminton, squash, because we have a national team that's the usual played on doubles. Tapos yung court, it is enclosed and in an outside setting, just like the MPC in BGC. For the information of our followers, can we discuss more about the court size, dimension, the equipment used in the sport, and the significant comparisons compared to the other paddle sports?
So paddle, if in the history of paddle, it was invented in a squash court. So now you can see that there are elements of squash in paddle. But since the inventor was a tennis player, elements of tennis was really factored in. The same scoring system, and also at the same time, you have it's very similar to tennis doubles. So you're playing two people at the one team and then two people on the other side. The size of the court is 20 by 10, so it's 200 square meters. And the height of the net is lower than a tennis net, so it's only 88 centimeters. You have the service lines, but then at the same time, it's only used for service. And the service is cross court and underhand. So it's very similar to tennis doubles, but at the same time, paddle has its own rules as well. So the rules are actually written by the wife of Enrique Corcuera, who is the inventor. She wrote the rules for him to make the sport official in itself.
Speaking of rules and regulations, so what about the format of the games being conducted and the scoring system in paddle? Is it similar also to tennis?
Yes, it's very similar to tennis. So the scoring system in paddle is exactly the same as in tennis. That means the points go up as follows: 15, 30, 40, and game. And should there be a tie on 40-40, then this is called deuce, and the winner is the first player to lead by 2 clear points. So games of paddle are played as the best of 3 sets, each of which consists of 6 games.
Okay. On the benefit side, what are the benefits and the fundamentals you can get for those who wanted to try paddle, the beginners, and of course the usual enthusiasts, and even tennis players who wanted to change sport from tennis going into paddle?
So paddle is really an easy sport to get into because as you know, the racket is stringless. So that's the big difference actually from paddle to tennis. The equipment itself, you have a stringless racket. So the face of this racket is about 26 by 29 centimeters, and overall length is 45 centimeters. So it's much shorter than a tennis racket. So it's much easier to control. So a lot of people get into paddle quite quickly in comparison to tennis because you only need to hit flat.
And of course, it's family friendly, as you mentioned earlier. Kaya nga, it's open for all ages, open to all sectors of the society. And bagay na bagay na rin to sa mga athletes na nagta-transition din from other sports. Let's say from combat sports going into the paddle sports. And we could see some of the national athletes have already tried out and played paddle.
Yeah, we have actually our last champion for the men's open is if you know Francis Casey Alcantara Nino, as
Oh,
everybody knows him.
Alcantara is actually won a title, I think, just this week.
Yes. So he just won a title in Egypt, and on his free time, he's been playing paddle. And our last tournament, he was our champion for the men's open.
By the way,
So a lot of tennis players have been converting into paddle. because it's a good sport to get into if you played tennis before. It really is a quick transition between paddle to and tennis, and you can still cross train use with whenever you're playing paddle and tennis if you're still playing tennis.
By the way, you have watched Nino Alcantara's performance at the national championships. Have you amazed with the intensity, the firepower that he been given, and of course the cross training being given by the Alcantara in playing paddle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our last finals game, it was really intense. So the game that he showcased to all of our spectators, it was really quite amazing. The speed, the control of the ball, and I'm sure he's been using all his tennis techniques as well into paddle. But he's been developing quite really well and progressively as a paddle player
I'm going
within the period of time that he's playing.
Okay, I'm going to talk about later yung PPA mismo, but let's focus on the Manila Paddle Club. Kailan ba siya na-establish or natatag ito?
So Manila Paddle Club, our first court, we have built it in September 2021, but officially we have opened the doors of Manila Paddle Club last November 11, 2022. So it's been just a couple of months since we opened the club, and now we have over 3,000 paddle players at the club.
Okay, this club is actually the lone paddle tennis club in the Philippines so far, and it's located at the heart of the Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. Yeah, pwede accessible sa mga commuters itong Manila Paddle Club, kaya they will take some taxi and of course the BGC bus going into the Manila Paddle Club. And how many paddle clubs do they have now in MPC?
So right now we have the first club, but we are currently building the second club for our next location in Pasig, in Arcovia City. So that's our second location, and we're also expanding to build another club in Alabang very soon. So it's going to be as big as our current club in BGC.
Okay, to be specific, ilan na ba yung courts na yun Taguig mismo?
So right now in BGC, we have 5 courts. So we have 5 paddle courts in BGC.
But I am impressed too, Ma'am Allena, because apart from paddle courts, there's also an outdoor gym, some amenities there, and even a restaurant for the players and enthusiasts to have social, get to socialize, to get meet up and unwind, and of course keep the active lifestyle. And yung fitness, malaga rin.
Yeah, I mean, for us, Manila Paddle Club is integrating paddle into BGC's community, but at the same time, the club developed into a social club because it has been a strategic move to benefit the growth of the sport itself by offering this format in terms of being such a social club. People are spending more time in the club because we have an outdoor gym as well and the restaurant. So people really enjoy spending time at the club because paddle in itself is a social sport.
But aside from that, there's also some activities lined up outside of paddle. There's also some fitness classes such as calisthenics. Can we share to us some of the activities outside paddle?
And so the playground, as we call it, the gym, we call the gym as the playground. So we have added the multiple fitness classes as well in the gym, from outdoor spinning to boot camps, yoga, and as well as calisthenics. And of course, we're adding more like boxing, and we have personal trainers as well who can help out people who want to use the gym.
Okay, let's go now to the PPA mismo. Can we tell us
Yes.
about the organization you have worked with and of course established? It was officially launched last year in December. The PPA is actually the local governing body for paddle. Is it currently recognized or not yet by the International Federation itself?
So we are in the process of finalizing the recognition with the International Federation. So there's a step-by-step process in terms of being federated internationally, but we have already been in conjunction with the FIP, which is the International Paddle Federation, to develop and promote paddle in the Philippines. So right now, Philippine Padel Association is recognized as the governing body of paddle in the Philippines to provide and implement the necessary governance, events, and competitive structure for the sport, as well as the rules and regulations for the sport in itself. So we will be recognized as the official federation for Philippines.
And if you get the international federation's seal of approval or recognition, you will also gonna plan to accredit also with the Philippine Sports Commission and
Yes,
Olympic Committee.
yes, and we are in the since we are already in the affiliation process with the international federation, we are working side by side with the Philippine Olympic Committee so that the paddle will be recognized as an official sport in the Philippines. Because if this is actually quite an interesting fact, because Dubai held the first world championship for paddle last year, and the South American Games has included paddle as an official sport as well. So this is attesting to the growth of paddle worldwide, and hopefully soon we have it in the Southeast Asian Games.
Okay, and speaking of PPA and the activities, just like World Championships, which they are not participated in because there's some processes that we could doing right now. Last weekend, or even 2 weekends ago, or 3 weekends ago, there's two national tournaments hosted by PPA in MPC, Manila Padel,
Yes.
the nationals and the mix, and we could see some familiar names of tennis played, just like Nino Gonzalez also, Nino Alcantara pala, sorry. And even Saratopia Cayetano was a triathlete, a volleyball player back in college for University of the Philippines. Saratopia has started to fall in love with paddle right now as one of her newly chosen sports right now. Could you share to us some developments during the two tournaments being conducted by PPA?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for Philippine Padel Association, it's really important to hold all of these tournaments to make sure that we have the competitive structure for the sport. And everybody is welcome. As you have mentioned, we have different athletes from different sports because Philippine Padel Association's vision inspires us is at its heart for the plan of the future. We have kept our vision simple and wide-reaching. Paddle for everybody. So paddle for everyone means that anybody who can pick up a racket will be able to play paddle. So for us to introduce and grow paddle, of course, in terms of developing and governing it as a sport in the Philippines, we want to make it relevant, accessible, welcoming, and enjoyable for everyone.
Ma'am, can we get the favor to ask if we could get the results of the aforementioned tournaments that the PPA have been hosting, so we could picture it on our page, even the upcoming tournaments, the calendar of the PPA for 2023.
Yes, absolutely. No, we'll be super happy to share that with you, and we are super excited to share that we already have our dates for the next tournaments. So for our mixed Philippine National Paddle Tournament, we have May 13 and 14. For our mix, for our intermediate men's beginners, and then also women's beginners, we have May 20 and 21. And for our PPA tournament for the mix, for the men's open and then the women's open, and also the men's intermediate, we have May 27 and 28. So we have the 3 weekends of May lined up for 3 weekends wherein we will hold different categories for the tournament. So May will be a big month for Philippine Padel Association.
But you
And we are,
but
sorry?
you but you have plans also to conduct monthly tournaments, because sa May pa lang, ang daming mga tournaments na naka-line up. Why not try naman every month naman?
Oh, we actually hold weekly socials where people in a format in a social format, they do have a competitive structure as well. So we have a paddle and beer every Thursday, ladies' night every Friday, and mixed socials every Saturday. So every week we actually do have this small tournament. So we want everybody to be prepared as well for the upcoming tournament. So we're encouraging everybody to train at the club. We have our head coach who is a professional paddle player from Spain, and he's the one training most of our paddle players in Manila Paddle Club.
Okay, how about in the grassroots side? Have you conducted some clinics right now in producing young talents to showcase their skills in paddle?
Yes, we are actually. So, Philippine Padel Association is focusing on developing young talent to becoming the next generation paddle players. So, for us, we are investing in talented young individuals who want to commit into paddle. So, right now, we have recruited the three players to be under the national team of paddle, but we're still developing the teams. So we want them to be ready to also represent Philippines in the next few months in the Asia Cup and also at the same time in different tournaments around Asia.
Okay, speaking of the national team, your huge dreams for PPA is to produce and scout talents who will get to represent the Philippines in international competitions. May we know the upcoming international tournaments lineup for the national team?
So this year there will be an Asian Cup at the end of the year. The details will be announced mid-year because the Asian Federation is still finalizing all the details, but that's the biggest tournament that we are preparing our Philippine team for.
And what?
But sorry.
Go ahead, po. Please continue.
And there is also an Asia Pacific tour that's going on, roadshow, wherein Philippines will be hosting different countries as well. Philippines will be participating in hosting Asia Pacific countries who are already having their paddle players go around Asia Pacific to join these tournaments.
Okay, since nakapost na yon yung paddle sa Metro Manila pa lamang, are you aiming to expand its reach outside Metro Manila? Let's say Cebu, Davao, and other key cities in the country to cater more players and to find new talents in paddle.
Yeah, we're definitely looking into the different areas like Cebu and Davao. But for us, we want to focus first in the main cities. So right now we're focusing on Metro Manila, but we are definitely looking into expanding outside of Luzon as well to make sure that we find the right talent.
Okay, so two last questions before we end. First, related sa paddle. Any advice you want to take to our followers, all the beginners and all those who want to take interest with, to play, to have fun, and to socialize with paddle?
So just try it out because the moment you step on the court and you hit that first shot, you will know how addictive paddle is and how enjoyable it is. So it's really easy to get into it. And of course, you don't have to be intimidated by the sport. You just have to bring three of your friends, come over to Manila Paddle Club, and we'll teach you paddle. Everybody started as a beginner at the club anyway.
And your final message nga pala to our female athletes and even the officials in celebration of Women's Month. Kasi ang dami tayong mga female athletes na nag-champion sa Worlds. Maybe someday we could find a female world champion na taga-Pilipinas pagdating sa paddle.
Siyempre, maghahanda talaga ang Pilipinas para maging champion ng paddle as well. Especially we can start in Asia. So maghahanda ang ating Philippine team, especially ang babae nating team. We're going to develop them. And of course, we want to congratulate all the female athletes of the Philippines who have won recently and have raised the flag for Philippines. And hopefully for paddle soon.
And with that, we'd like to thank Allena for joining us. But before we give you your final shout-outs and closing remarks, let's do our photo up. So thumbs up and smile po. Show your smile. 1, 2, 3. Mama Allena, it's your turn to have your final words, your closing remarks, and of course, invite them to try paddle at the Manila Paddle Club in Taguig and eventually soon in Pasig and Alabang. And those who want to try out paddle and support the national team and the PPA activities.
So for us, everybody is welcome to Manila Paddle Club. It's open to all. And everybody is welcome to also try paddle out because paddle is for everyone. That's from Manila Paddle Club and of course Philippine Padel Association. So we look forward to seeing you at Manila Paddle Club in BGC and hopefully soon in Pasig and Alabang.
By the way, saan matatagpuan yung Manila Paddle Club sa Taguig?
So the BGC location is across the Turf BGC. So it's at 9th Avenue, corner lane R. Really easy to find. 1 minute from Uptown Mall and most likely 3-minute walk from High Street.
Okay, so we get to visit them soon for some.
And we're open 24/7 for paddle and gym.
So pwede talaga pag madaling araw, pwede nga mag-paddle at any times. Pwede kayo mag-try o mag-play ng paddle. And of course, we will visit them soon for coverage of the activities pag may time at pag may budget tayo. Mama Allena, thank you so much. And of course, we look forward to see you again. And we like to thank you personally for the support you have given to us in Sports Corner PH sa patuloy naming pagbibigay ng ating mga reports, mga updates sa mga sports na di naman masyadong kilala ng marami. But through our help, we get to see and to help boost the popularity of those unfamiliar sports. And we look forward to see you again and continue to message us if there's anything you want to add and of course, the updates about Philippine Padel Association and of course, Philippine Padel in general. Ma'am Allena, thank you so much and see you around po. Ingat po. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you po.
Thank you.